Live again.
I am recording again,
All right, and we're live.
and we're back.
We're back. So I'll attempt to guess what we were doing last time. I think I was about to say something like, I think the only comedy that stands the longest test of time has been Doctor Strangelove, but that's almost like that's uh that's coming from a genius, and it's almost like I don't know.
Yeah, it'll always be remembered. It definitely will be remembered as a product of its time.
Yeah, but it's still relevant. You can watch it. Like name
Yeah,
any other comedy from the '60s you watch.
no, nothing. At least
Um,
I can't think of any that are like funny. There's movies from the '60s I watch, but not comedies. I can't think of any.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, where am I in my notes? Oh yeah, let's see here. Um, oh yeah, the plane crashes. Yeah, the guide a plane through the airport. Then we have Ted's chasing down Elaine. Apparently, like she left him in a note back at home, and so he's trying to get her back. Then we have Ted breaking the fourth wall from him. He like looks in the camera and goes, "What a pisser" or something like that. I don't know if that was like a reference to something. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. It seems to remind me of something from a movie, but I can't remember what.
We get Peter Graves shows up. He's Captain Over. What are we supposed to know him from?
Oh, Peter Graves.
Is he just another guy with a great voice in this movie?
Yeah, that he was a serious. I'm trying to think of what his stop listening to me weird thing. Um, He did a lot of like I think he did some westerns.
Oh, okay.
He was one of those guys. I'm trying to think of what he was more recently. I know he did some documentary narrations and
Oh
stuff.
yeah, yeah. That make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Um, he grabs an issue of Modern Sperm.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was just the magazine thing said just whacking material. Like that's what the magazine section said.
He gets a call from
Oh,
a.
Mission Impossible. That's where we know
Oh
Peter
right, yeah,
from.
okay.
Yeah.
He gets a call from a doctor. This girl that needs a heart transplant. This heart like jumping around on the doctor's desk. I don't remember this moment at all. I guess it never stuck with me or something. And there was like a quick little joke about like because I think they said like somebody from the Mayo Clinic is calling, and then he goes and then he gets another call from somebody named Ham, or it's Doctor Ham on the call. He says like something about like hold the mayo, give me the ham or something like that. It's like just
Yeah.
a weird. Oh, there's a lot of throwage. In my mind, there's like a joke every second in this movie, but there really is just there is just kind of dwell time between the jokes and
Yeah.
stuff. It's also not that long of a movie, so.
Yeah, this movie's like 80 minutes, I think. Not super long.
Then the ambulance shows up and drops off the little girls. You know, I guess that's like although I don't know. I guess it's a bit of concern. I don't know if that girl ever gets that hurt.
Yeah, we don't really find out.
um, but I
She
mean,
becomes like a sight gag for two more things that happen, and
yeah.
then that's kind of it.
um, I wrote that Ted doesn't have a job at the moment, but he's driving a taxi. So either he stole that taxi or he's a taxi driver.
It's hard to tell.
Well, I guess he turned down a job with Boeing, so that's what Elaine's mad about because it involves flying or something. So, um, here we learn that Ted he talks about having trauma from the war, so it's like okay, that's his big character flaw. It's like PTSD. um, then we cut to the airplane. The pilots are talking about the flight. We get Jimmy JJ Walker shows up and he's washing the windows, which I'm not sure if he was known at this time, or I guess maybe I'm not sure. um, and yeah, we get Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as Captain Roger Murdoch. um, then we cut back to Ted gets a ticket on Elaine's flight, just so he can try to win her back there. Which there's a weird moment where they kind of like turn the camera on him. He's like, "I'll have one ticket, no luggage." Where he changes his voice for some reason. Um, which I'm wondering if that was in like one of the other airplane movies or whatever, or airport movie.
Probably. Well, yeah, that was the bomber, I think.
Oh, okay.
Wasn't it the bomber from the first airport bought a ticket like that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but he
'cause
had luggage, right?
I think he had the bomb with him. I think it was a carry-on.
Okay, yeah, okay. One ticket, no carry. Okay. Um, then we get Ted has a flashback as he like looks at the plane. Then we get a quick scene. We're on the airplane. There's two guys that are speaking in jive, and so they're translating the jive. Um, Although as a kid, I remember this being like incomprehensible, and it's like, no, I know what they're saying. I don't know. So um,
I
uh,
guess when they released this in other countries, like in Germany, they spoke like an obscure Bavarian dialect. Like that's what they dubbed in that they were talking,
oh,
and they
okay.
translated it into like conventional German. So a lot of countries they ran this movie and they actually tried to find an obscure colloquial dialect that these two guys were speaking.
Huh.
Sometimes the joke transferred, sometimes it didn't, but because to us it's just funny. It's like, well, yeah, it's just they're speaking like some kind of street lingo.
Um, Ted sits next to an old woman. She goes, nervous? He goes, yes. And she goes, first time? No, I've been nervous lots of
See,
times.
I love that kind of stuff. 'Cause sometimes I actually answer people's questions like that. Like I'm not really engaged, and it's like, oh, they just want to talk to me, and yeah, and I'll give them answers like that. It's like that's not what I meant. It's like, sorry, I just wasn't paying attention. But
Or sometimes this is like what makes an autistic person unintentionally hilarious.
yeah, yeah, it's very autistic to react that way to people because it's actually a reasonable answer.
Yeah, because she doesn't mention like, oh, are you nervous from flying? She doesn't mention that. So
No,
technically, all she asks him is like, have you been nervous before?
yes,
um, then we have this quick scene where it's Bill, who's like an airman or something like that, waving goodbye to his girlfriend, which he never shows up again in this
no,
movie. But she's like, this must be making fun of, I don't know, probably some romance movie. Oh, this is like a scene in like movies with trains where it's like,
yes, that's the joke. Is like the plane's taking off, but the doors open and they're waving at each other while the plane's just like roaring down the
yeah.
runway. And she's knocking over like metal pylons. Uh,
Like a marching band gets in her way, and he throws
yeah,
her a watch, and she's like, "Don't you need this?" It's like, "Don't worry, it's broken." I was like,
what does that mean?
"Yeah, yeah." This might be one of those like this is referring to something I'm not sure about. Um,
But it's just a ridiculous scene. Also, there's a cut scene because I went and looked at some of the deleted scenes where they're starting the engines, but they're starting and they make the sounds of like a World War II bomber, where they're looking out and the engines are like the old piston-driven
yeah,
engines, the prop engines and like nothing like what a jet engine sounds like.
yeah.
But
Well, I mean that's throughout the movie because the movie
yeah,
of the airplane is of a propeller engine and not the jet engine they have. Although it's weird because like I think at the end of the movie when they're landing the plane, they kind of have that. They use a jet engine sound of a jet engine winding down.
yeah,
So, again, that's one of those fun things with comedy where it's like you don't have to hold. It's actually funnier the less you hold true to like realism.
yeah. The deleted scene though, where they're starting the engine and they're like contact, that's actually really funny. They're also looking out the window to like, oh yeah, it's going, whatever happens.
Then we cut to the cockpit where they have like they have the fun confusion with their names where it's because there's Captain Over. Um, oh, what's Murdoch's name? What's his first
Oh,
name?
for Roger.
Roger. Yes, Roger. And then we have Victor, the navigator. And
Yeah.
so there's a bunch of like, what's your vector, Victor? Roger, Roger, over. and then people getting confused, and that's kind of the end of it. Yeah.
It's like who's on first, what's on second,
Yeah.
but they're taking a airplane off.
And they're like vaguely perturbed by it, but then just make their way through it.
Yeah, nothing happens. It's
So have that being the end of Act 1.
yeah, they're finally in the air.
Yeah. So
Unlike Airport, it didn't take like an hour and a half
Yeah.
to the air.
So yeah, we have Act 2, so they're in the air. We have a nun reading boy's life and a boy reading nun's life, but there's like a nun surfing.
Yeah. It's really weird. Yeah. Stuff with the passengers is great.
Ted and Elaine cross paths on the plane. So she's mad about him being on there. She's like, I told you to leave. Now you're on the airplane with me. There's also like he sits back down next to the old lady and she starts commenting on like Elaine's body. It's like, oh, she's such a nice girl with like supple breasts and thick and firm thighs. It's like, wait, what? Because like her cadence is like she's saying something sweet, but like what she's actually saying is kind of like
it's like vulgar.
Yeah.
It's like somebody. It's like a really like a salty romance novel.
Which I think Elaine does something similar later on, where she's like saying a sentence and like without missing a beat. It's like she like in between like kind of remembering the good times of relationship. She said something like, "I used to sit on your face and wriggle."
Yeah. But the way she delivers it is great. It's just like,
Yeah, it's like, wait, what did she say?
Like we held hands and walked down the beach, and I sat on your face, but it's all in one continuous like. It's just like what? And no one's reacting to it either. He's like, yeah, I remember that.
And even though this like old lady next to him is trying to be like kind of like accepting or trying to be compassionate, he goes into a flashback to like her kind of annoyance.
Yeah.
She's also like, well, I don't know. I guess when Elaine presents her like, do you want anything to read? And she's like, I want some light reading. And then it's like, she hands the old lady like a pamphlet of like history's greatest Jewish sports stars or something.
Oh,
like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like a 2-page pamphlet. Yeah,
it's like Sandy Koufax and like one other person or something. Then we go to the flashback, and it's like Ted's time in the Navy. There's a lady in red dress playing a trombone on the countertop of this seedy bar.
Yeah, and he describes it as like it's somewhere between Calcutta and Bombay, and it's like he's basically hanging out in the Barbary Coast.
Yeah.
And he says it's a place worse than Detroit.
And then a couple of Girl Scouts get into a bar fight over a game of cards, which that's just funny. So,
yeah, these are beating the hell out of each other too.
And then one of the scouts' head gets shoved in the jukebox, and then Staying Alive starts playing, and so everyone starts dancing.
Even there's a guy dressed like a pirate who starts dancing.
Here's where Ted falls in love with Elaine while she's on the dance floor. So they have a dance, and they're basically just making fun of Saturday Night Fever, I guess, because that's a movie I've never actually seen, because it's like I don't care about dancing, but actually here it's a movie I need to see because it's great.
That's actually a good movie. You should watch that.
Well, also I heard like the guy who wrote it is like this genius script writer who's also schizophrenic, who like so like there's like he has like some weird observations. There's like he has a way of capturing reality that was like unprecedented, especially being the state he existed in mostly. So, yeah, I always just threw that off because it's like, it's just a stupid dance movie. So it's like, because every scene you see in the movie is just the dancing. It's like, okay, is that what that movie is? No, thank you. So,
nope. Actually, the other parts of the movie are pretty cool.
Okay.
It's a sad movie at the end of the day.
Oh, okay.
It's just the whole disco genre is always. Like, especially to people like my age and even your age, was always like, well, this is just silly.
Yeah.
And that's what you associate it with. But it's, if you watch the movie, it's like, I'm not going to say it's like as good as Rocky, but it's vaguely similar to that.
Oh, okay.
It's like a guy whose life is basically meaningless. And it's sad, and he, can't really find a way out of it. Yeah.
We get kind of a crossfade, and then sometime later at the bar, and they're slow dancing as like everyone's left. Then we cut back from the flashback, and the old lady hung herself, so you just see her feet dangling. So, um, here they start taking dinner orders, and it's steak or fish. There's like some kid here. He's taking coffee around. He offers it to like a girl, like a little girl. I don't know. She's like, I don't know, 8 or 10 or something like that. And like she's like, oh,
And they're talking like proper people.
yeah, yeah.
Like they're using like, this real continental manners and stuff. And,
Yes, would you mind taking a seat? Like, oh yes, I would. Just like,
yeah.
and then he's like, sugar, and she's like, no, I like my coffee black, like I like my men. And then,
Yeah.
and then the kid, the boy's just like, oh, shocked, but like, what the fuck does that mean? I made that. um, let's see here. Okay. Then we have Elaine goes in a flashback here. There's like waves crashing on the beach as her and Ted run on the beach, which I assume this is a spoof of, was it Perfect 10, or
Yes.
is it just 10? I can't remember.
10. Yeah,
Okay.
the Blake Edwards movie. Yeah, 10.
Yeah. Because there's some things where it's like, oh, because I thought, because my reference isn't the thing that this is based on, Zero Hour, because I've never seen that. But the idea of like kind of like the old captain who comes back to wrangle in the guy with PTSD, I was always associated this as being kind of a spoof on Rambo, but this exists before First Blood.
Yeah.
But also that's probably a common trope. I'm not sure. Maybe that's used in every PTSD movie. So, we need to get his old like leader down here. I hear it's just kind of happenstance. Because when they call Kramer in, it's just because he's like another pilot at the airport, right? They just need somebody to guide somebody in to land the plane.
Yeah, apparently has some specialty with that type of aircraft or something.
Okay. Oh, here's something that I actually never considered, and it's probably not important. They land at a different airport, right? Or do they land at the same airport that they took off from?
No, I think they're landing at O'Hare.
Okay. So they take off from LA and go to Chicago. Okay. Let's see. Well, I guess the thing why I think it's like the same airport to me is because you have the scene where he's like beating up the people coming up and offering stuff, and I kind of see that as like those are the same people, so this is the same more airport, but it actually isn't. So, but they probably just had one airport to film at, so it doesn't matter. It's comedy. Like, why do you worry so much about continuity? So, so yeah, we're in the flashback. They fall down the beach. They're just like bombarded with waves. Like they're getting like interrupted by waves, and they're just covered in like a bunch of seaweed and stuff like that. Here is where Ted tells her that he's being deployed, and like they end the flashback, and that I think that's where Elaine says like that's the last time, or no, that's the last time that Elaine knew that she loved Ted, and then everything after that's been downhill. Then we cut to the cockpit. Elaine brings Joey, the kid, to the cockpit to meet the pilots. Here's where we have the weird Peter Graves and or Captain Over doing his like, you ever seen a grown man naked, Joey? Do you like movies about gladiators? You ever go to the YMCA and there's just like stuff
hang out in the gym?
This is like hilarious because it comes out of nowhere, but like I don't know if this is like some kind of grooming joke or if it was just like this would be something funny to say out of sequence that nobody acknowledges it actually being said.
Well, yeah, that's the thing is like nobody talks about this. I guess Peter Graves really thought this. He when he was first handed the script, he was like, "This is shit. This is terrible. I'm not doing this." But then he later was like, "Oh, I can. If we're just doing this straight." Because I guess I don't know if it was explained to him. He like we're supposed to be acting funny while we're saying this stuff. It's like I guess once it was explained to him, he's like, "Oh, that would be very funny." So yeah, yeah. But there was he was given like a partial script with his dialogue, and this was one of the things. It's like this isn't funny. This guy's a pedophile.
Um, I also hand that kid like a full model plane for like as a gift.
Yeah, big plane. So that's immediately like, oh, is this a van with the signed candy duct taped on the side?
We also get like a side gag here with the fourth wall breaking with the kid noticing that Captain Murdoch is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He's like, no,
Yeah.
no, I'm the pilot. I'm not. And then he kind of grabs the kid. It's like, look, you tried dragging these guys around for 48 minutes.
Yeah, because he was saying how it's like, oh yeah, you don't try hard until you're in the playoffs. That's what my dad says. And he's like, well, yeah, I'm sure that's a thing. And then yeah, finally he like just almost picks the kid up. I guess that kid had no idea what Captain Over was saying to him.
Yeah.
Because they were like this, because he was like in the, but he didn't understand it. It just went over his head.
Yeah.
And I guess by the time the movie came out, he'd grown up a little bit and he got it and he thought it was hilarious. The kid had no idea. That's why he just had that completely like, what? This odd reaction.
Then we cut to Elaine and Ted like kind of like have fond memories, but they end up on Ted being held up on his PTSD is why their relationship can't go forward. We have a flashback to Ted's in the hospital. He's apparently the only one that survived the mission.
Did you ever pay attention to the names of the missions and the bases he was on or whatever?
No.
Yeah, they were all, it was all like Bacardi. And,
Well, I remember Bacardi. I don't remember anything else though.
yeah, it was all named after booze.
Okay.
Every place and every mission was like named after liquor or something like that.
I forget. Yeah, because he's the last one that lived. I forget the last guy that I have written down the like the last note or whatever about the guy. Another guy died this morning, so so he blames himself for the mission going bad. There's also an Ethel Merman joke here, which I don't even know who Ethel Merman is, but they literally cut to that guy thinks he's Ethel Merman, and then cut to literal Ethel Merman.
Yeah, she's like doing a song and dance routine. It was also her last movie appearance.
Huh? Okay.
Yeah.
It's like a name I know, but I don't know what she did, or I assume this is what she did.
Kind of a combination of nightclub singing and vaudeville stuff.
Okay.
But she was more of a singer.
We're back from flashbacks. The flight attendant, I think is Randy, is this flight attendant. I don't think I got her name till later on, which I think she might be like a part of the Kentucky Fried movie crew or whatever. I'm not sure.
Okay.
And she gets a guitar from a nun and she starts playing for the sick kid. And here's where like everyone like falls in love with the student, because there's also a time where like Randy goes up to like the one guy's like, would you like some coffee? And then like they go to the inner monologue of his wife and like he never gets a second cup of coffee.
That's from a Sanka commercial, isn't it?
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure what that was about or why they were doing it.
Well, I remember there was a time in America when they were trying to sell Americans on the notion that freeze-dried coffee that you reconstituted with hot water was like, that was really good and convenient if you didn't have time to like make coffee with a coffee machine.
Yeah.
And if you've ever had coffee like that, you know it's like, this is terrible. This is a poor fact. This is like freeze-dried horse meat that you have to constitute to prevent from starving to death. It's like, oh, okay.
But I thought she was like thinking that like he had the hots for the stewardess, because it seems like everyone falls in love with Randy here, and so she starts singing the song. Everyone's joining in, and then here she was like knocks out the IV on the kid a couple of times, and like the nurse doesn't notice like the first time, but then there's another whack, and then she's like, oh crap. But then all she notices, and the plane is just fully involved with the song. We got another Ted flashback of him and Elaine being in the Peace Corps. There's a tribe that's naturally good at basketball. It's funny because like he tries to shoot a basket and it just bounces way off the rim, and then they hand it to one of the tribesmen and they just immediately turn into the Globetrotters, which might actually just be the Harlem Globetrotters here. I'm not sure.
I think that's who that was. Yeah.
And then we get the first drinking problem gag where he has a bottle of Gatorade, which I didn't know Gatorade existed this far back. This is back when I had the glass bottle.
Yeah.
And but
You
here,
remember remember broken glass in every parking lot in the United States? That's why they quit doing that.
but his drinking problem gag is he goes to drink and he just throws it in his own face. So,
Yeah.
rather than him doing booze. But, so we're back from the flashback, and here's his passenger next to him is a Japanese general.
It's really weird.
Which this is James Hong. If you don't know who that is, he's been in almost 500 things. He's like the main bad guy in Big Trouble in Little China. Um, he was like recently in what's that multiverse? The Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Okay.
He's been in tons of things. You know who he is. I didn't know. So I didn't know it was him here. It was like, wait, is that guy, or am I just confusing every Asian for this guy? And it's like, no, it's that guy. Cool. And I wrote commits Harry Carey, and then I looked it up. I was like, wait, what's the difference between seppuku and Harry Carey? And so apparently, like Harry Carey's the more. This is what Harry Carey's what happens here, because it's the more dreadful version where you just die from bleeding after disemboweling yourself. Or seppuku is you disembowel yourself and then somebody saves you from the pain and cuts your head off with a sword.
Yeah, from behind. It's really weird.
Let's see here. And then here we have some of the passengers start to be sick. And then Leslie Nielsen as Dr. Rumack is revealed. Although here they kind of make it seem like, oh, sorry, doctor, we have to wake you up to do your job, and then he's just like not groggy, anything, has a stethoscope in, and he's like, yes, I'm a doctor. And this is the the reveal of Leslie Nielsen, which he's great in this movie. Which I'm not sure how you're supposed to take him at this time or whatever. It's like, oh, it's serious actor Leslie Nielsen or whatever, but.
He's playing it straight.
Oh yeah. That's what he does best. It's like you do deathly serious, straight acting, and then the humor will follow. Trust your instincts. He looks over a lady who's like regurgitating whole eggs. I don't know. They make a whole scene out of this, so whatever.
Yeah, he's doing the magic like trick, producing an egg from his hand, but it's obviously a magic trick.
Yeah. Then Dr. Rumat declares like an emergency for this woman. Then Victor passes out, the navigator. Dr. Rumack and Over talk about like landing the plane. And then Murdoch passes out in the cockpit, and so the plane starts like going over as he like passes out onto the yoke. So they get him out of the cockpit. Although weird, he's in like his Laker gear for no reason. Like after he gets sick, it's like but who knows? I don't know. maybe he had a game to go to in between takes or something like that. I'm not sure like where he was in his career. I guess he should. Yeah, he should have still been playing. I'm not sure how long he played, but enough to score almost all the points. So
yeah.
So then Over takes over the plane. Here's where they figured out that the people who had the fish are getting sick. Over realizes he ate the fish as he like stares at comically like fish skeleton on his plate or whatever.
Yeah, like he just like peeled all the meat off of a whole fish skeleton.
And then as Dr. Rumack is like reading out all the symptoms, like he starts having them all. So here's where you get like the straight serious acting and a farting gag and everything like that all in one. So, Elaine engages the blow up autopilot, which I don't know is very. I don't know if this is a reference or anything, but like this is such a like. I don't know. I only recognize this kind of like blow up figure from this movie. I don't know if it's ever existed anywhere else or just here.
No, I think this is like considered one of the most iconic props in movie history because it was given its own credit at the end.
Oh yeah,
it's just ridiculous that like, oh, we just have a blow up puppet doll.
Yeah,
that's the autopilot. It's not like just some mechanical lock on the, It's like, oh, this is weird.
But also just a great fun design. I don't know, like it's weird.
Yeah, it kind of looks like one of those clowns that you punch and it would,
yeah,
stand back up. It had that basic body.
Yeah, and it has a personality throughout the movie, even though it
Yeah.
does. I mean, they will draw different faces on it, so that helps. But yeah.
Never speaks.
um. So yeah, Elaine gets on the radio and talks to the airport and gives them the situation. Here's where we reveal Lloyd Bridges as McCloskey. So he's
Yeah.
kind of like the hard-driven, like, I don't know, airport. I'm not sure what his job is. Just like, I'm not sure if he's supposed to be like the manager of the airport or supposed to be an air traffic control guy. I don't know. He's in charge of everything here.
Yeah, I think he's in charge of the airport.
Uh, which yeah, he's also fantastic in this. Like every scene he's great in this. He has they do that. Actually, they come back to the gag like 5 times where he's like, I picked a bad day to stop smoking, and then everything he says he picked to stop, he does immediately. So.
Yeah, pretty soon it's like, I picked the wrong week to quit methamphetamine. He was taking pills. He wasn't smoking. Yeah. Older methamphetamines. And then you have Steven Stucker, the air traffic control guy, who, because Kramer will always be like, coffee, and he'll be like, no thanks. You know, that guy. You know, I guess all his dialogue was improvised.
Yeah,
he's like, he was a song and dance guy from Broadway. So they're just like, yeah, just go nuts, do your thing.
Well, he also worked with the Kentucky Fried Movie stuff and was part of their group and stuff like that too. Yeah, this is my first, like, I don't know, like catty gay character in a movie that I can remember.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
And then so yeah, then the autopilot, the plane starts to dive, and the autopilot starts deflating. So Elaine has to give a blowjob to the autopilot to get it back. Because like, you know, the doctor walks in and he's like, "Oh, what's going on here?" And then
yeah, well, it's a refill valve and it's located in his belt.
Yeah.
When the doctor walks in, he just sees from behind. And his eyes get real big, and he turns around and walks out. And then when they come back, they're both Otto and the stewardess are smoking a cigarette. So it's like really mature stuff like that. It makes this movie the best.
Then we cut to the doctor. He restates the situation and needing a pilot or they'll all die. The plane goes crazy. Yeah, the passengers on the plane go crazy when she asks for a pilot.
Yeah, they start like beating on each other and just freaking out. Like the nuns fighting somebody, and
then somebody just, you know, a naked lady runs in and jiggles her breasts at the camera.
Yeah.
Oh, then we cut to like some guys going to Captain Kramer's house to pick him up. This is Robert Stack. Here's a gag apparently I just never remember. They're just like a golden retriever attacking this guy the whole time.
Yeah.
Which I don't remember that being a thing. And then, you know, you have just Robert Stack just announcing his lines because he can just talk and make anything sound good. Even and also I don't remember this. They do a mirror gag because they have him like stand in front of a mirror and fix his tie. And then he walks through the mirror, like revealing that, like, oh, the lady's like not even looking at him. And it's like you just do it for no reason. I don't know.
Yeah, because you think like she's looking at him in the mirror while he's talking.
Yeah.
Then he realized, oh, he just walks through it. It's like a doorway. It's like, she just wasn't looking at it.
And also the guy's getting attacked in the background. So.
Yeah, nobody's paying attention to that. So.
We cut back to the airplane. Ted's telling a story to a guy who's about to light himself on fire.
Indian guy.
Yeah, sure.
Which is weird because like that's happened a few times in Washington in the last 5 or 6 years.
Then Randy brings Ted to the cockpit because she asked if he's a pilot, and so she's like, yeah. So, the doctor explains to Ted the situation, and here we get the first instance of the Shirley joke, where it's like he's like, Shirley, you must be joking. He's like, I'm not, and don't call me Shirley. So
yeah,
which happens I think only one more time, probably, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's very memorable though.
Yeah, yeah. I think there's a documentary about this movie called Surely You Must Be Joking or something like that. So it's carried forward. Then we get a tracking shot. Like Ted looks at the control board for the airplane. We get a tracking shot of basically an infinite control board of never ending switches and dials and meters and everything. And then we cut to Kramer's driving over to the airport, which they have like funny gags. It's just them sitting in a car and there's like a rear screen projection. And they have him like hit somebody with his car and stuff like that. But
Yeah, somebody in a bike like goes flipping over the car and gets up, yells at him.
yeah, and the guy in the passenger seat's like, "Hey," he's like, and he's just, he just no sells it, like, and, like that didn't happen. Um, we also know that Kramer knows Ted Stryker, like he's like his commander or something something like that. We come back to the airplane. Ted's familiarizing himself with the cockpit. He hits a button, and then the plane takes a dive for a moment. And he calls her Mayday. Here's we got Johnny. That's the Steven Zucker character. He's just like, I can't remember this. He says so many random things.
Yeah, he says like Mayday's like the Russian New Year.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
Parade and we'll have the floats or something. Yeah.
There's one who's like, he says, "What do you make of this?" And he has him like a piece of paper, and it's like, "Oh, you can make a hat. You can make that." Like,
make a boat.
Then but yeah, because the plane was going wild for a bit. One of the this is like the one lady who's like has the voiceover. She gets hysterical for a moment, and then everyone starts smacking her. Some lady smacks her, and then the doctor smacks her.
Film history.
And then then we just have we just like track across all the people ready to beat her up because there's like one lady has a crowbar, and then this lady has a gun, and the lady behind her has a bat. It's like, well, that's kind of a downgrade. Maybe she's just gonna hit her with the butt of the gun. Yeah, that was, I guess, rent free in my mind.
Oh yeah, I love that scene. It's just so weird. Like, how long can this go? How long can this go on? It's like apparently a long time.
Well, it's also funny because they aren't just like, one by one we're going to do this. There's always something that like, oh, you're needed here, you're needed here. It's like the next person in line is always needed somewhere else, and there's just people in waiting. So.
It's like, well, the lady was probably initially hysterical because of fear, but now she's hysterical because she's just taking a beating every 5 seconds. Someone's handing off.
Let's see. Oh yeah, here's where we get the third. Kramer enters the airport and he like has to fight his way to like traffic control, and so he's like has like a full on like like he's fighting like all these Christian people just coming up as like, would you? And there's even other people. There's like Jews for Jesus. There's like some like a tax guy or something like that, and all these kind of people come up, and he's like rolling over their backs and kicking people, roundhouse other people. So it's just a big fight scene with these people. They're presumably innocent, but just really annoying. So
yeah, they're just very passionate about uninterested, just trying to be a huckster.
Yeah. Then we get Kramer gets in contact with Ted. Ted's angry with him. Here's where we get I quit the wrong week to quit drinking, and then he just takes a swig of some alcohol. I think it's also like where I think there's also a thing here where Kramer doesn't realize that the mic is still open. He's like, oh, they're all dead. Ted Stryker's up there. They're all gonna die.
Yeah, but he's like holding the transmit button. So yeah, they're just like, oh, great.
So Kramer takes Ted through some plane controls because like here he's like trying to explain the difference between like flying a fighter plane and a commercial jetliner. Where I guess here it's like it's more sluggish and you got to make smooth movements. Where I guess with a fighter plane you could just jerk it around. So, yeah. Now Lane is his co-pilot. We cut to Randy talks with the Jive guys, but doesn't understand them. So then an old lady gets up and tries to like translate jive, and then like when she talks jive to them, it makes them angry, and then they just all leave angry. So
Yeah, that was Barbara Billingsley, the mother from Leave It to Beaver, the '60s
okay,
TV.
I thought I remember her from somewhere. I thought it was like wait, I was like I thought it was like is that from not Full House? I thought it was like Brady Bunch. I was like no, she's too old for that. It's like oh, it's Leave It to Beaver. Okay, so
Yeah,
that makes
similar
sense.
concept. Yeah,
One of those shows I saw on Nick at Night. um, yeah, was that? Just Leave It to Be There always in black and white, or did it switch to color at one point? I can't remember.
that's a good question. I only remember it in black and white.
Yeah, it's yeah, it must have been always in black and white. Um, I'm trying to remember shows that switched over. I know like I Love Lucy, but like when she had a show that was in color, but it was a technically a different show. It wasn't I Love
Right.
Lucy. Um, I'm trying to think of like Lassie did one where like switched to color. I can't remember. Somewhere
Not sure.
I know there was like a '90s Lassie. They keep trying to bring Lassie back, so. But
Yeah.
that was another famous show I remember being in black and white. Um,
The one,
then,
the one I remember with changes when Twilight Zone went from like, what was it? They went from like camera film to like a kind of an early form
oh the
VHS
video. Okay.
recording. Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't they like do that live or something like that? It was like all in studio or something. I can't remember. It was something
I'm
crazy.
not sure. I just know they looked really
Oh,
weird.
okay.
It
Yeah.
was still black and white,
Yeah.
but it was like people moved a little quicker, and it was one of those deals.
um. Then we cut to Captain Over's wife is in bed with a horse.
And she's talking to the horse.
Yeah.
You can leave by the back door. There's juice in the refrigerator. And it's an actual horse. It's
Yeah.
like moving around in bed.
Yeah. It starts getting up. It starts freaking out for a bit. So I was like, oh, it must have been calm for that one bit. So,
Yeah.
um,
How do you get a horse in a bed?
Which yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if that's just like a sleeping around joke or if that was like some sort of like Godfather reference.
Probably, but it's just one of those things that's just so weird.
Yeah,
Like, why is it here?
yeah.
Or it's the origin story of the creators of BoJack Horseman. It's like this when they saw that when they were kids, and like, we're gonna do something like this.
um. Then we cut back to like, I think we're at the traffic control or just the airport. I think there's an issue with them being off course because like nobody can spot them on radar. Which I guess this actually doesn't end up being a problem. It's just presented as one. So. Um.
Well, it's a chance for the guy from Breaking or from Better Call Saul to make his one of his movie
Oh,
appearances.
Jonathan Banks. Yeah. He shows up. I was
Yeah.
like, wait, is that him? He is. Yeah, it is.
He had hair,
Yeah.
kind of. It was retreating quickly, but he
Yeah.
had it.
A cool bomber jacket. um. The press show up, and then at the end, it's like, all right, guys, let's get some photos, and they just take all the photos off the
I
walls.
love that. Come on, guys, let's get some pictures. Grabbing pictures of planes off the wall. It's so weird.
So I have that be the act 2. So act 3. Here's what. Yeah, we got some spinning headlines. And the one I wrote down was "Boy trapped in fridge eats his foot." So, and we also cut to like this like conservative pundit. It says like they knew what they got when they bought the ticket. Like let them crash, which
Glad to know that's still alive and well.
Well, I did a quick scrub watch of Kentucky Fried Movie because I've never seen it, and this guy is in there. So I don't know if this is like from that movie or if this is like a long-standing part of their like their improv comedy group or whatever.
That could be.
But yeah, it's not out of nowhere. It's like kind of a reference of their own material.
Inside the room stuff. Okay.
Yeah. But it also just makes sense of just having, conservative pundits saying awful shit.
Yeah, it still goes on.
It's like, yeah, why blame a corporation? It's not their.
Don't you dare interfere with capital. Fuck there.
Yeah, here's another joke that I like after that, where this guy is taking a swig of some whiskey on the airplane, because they all know that the deal now, so they're all nervous. And he asks the lady, he's like, "Would you like some whiskey, ma'am?" She's like, "Certainly not," and offended by it, and then just like gets some coke and snorts it.
Yeah, she's like chopping, she's like snorting something off a mirror. Get that foul concoction away from me.
And then we have the nun singing respect to the jive guys. It start.
I forgot about that. Yes.
It's starting to storm, and Stryker's like having sweaty flashbacks. To eventually, his flashbacks just turn into like this. I don't even know where this like cut comes from, but you've seen this in like probably even till today of just like history's plane crashes of like weird planes people invented and them falling apart, and including that one like weird helicopter that just looks like an umbrella that's spinning too fast and nothing happens.
Yeah, it's like a pogo stick. It's like it's gonna suck itself into the air or something.
And that one that has like 40 different like wings and they all collapse down the middle. Like I was surprised they didn't cut to like the guy getting shot with the cannonball. Like that's another one of those.
I the slow motion of that guy.
Yeah.
Cannonball to the stomach.
Which I don't know. I remember the cannon. Oh no, no, they must not have been real footage. I think they recreated that in The Simpsons, but all the stuff you see here that was probably recreated in The Simpsons at some point. So.
Oh yeah, they've had 40 years to like recreate everything.
Then somebody says I think Ted said something about like, if Kramer hears this, shit's gonna hit the fan, and then they cut to literally shit hitting the fan. So.
It looks like somebody threw like grape jelly into a fan. That's ridiculous.
Ted.
Can you do that now? Okay. Give me 5 minutes. I'll be right back.
All right.
picked the wrong day to quit shooting heroin.
Let's see here. Oh yeah, Stryker puts the blow up pilot back in charge, where he just like shoves it in the seat and it's already just automatically flying the plane. So Ted sulks to the back of the plane. Dr. Room here gives him a peck top, and he ends up talking about George Zip. This is the guy that like he keeps saying like, well, George Zip didn't have another day.
Oh, there's did you go in the refrigerator?
No, nothing else.
Oh, there isn't. What do you like?
Do you not care about them? You're not picky out there.
That's vodka. All right,
No,
guys, have fun.
All
right, we got a lot going on tonight.
Yeah.
But I don't know why. This is fucking.
But here, Dr. Room talks about like he served in the war, and he like talked about a guy talking George Zip, who was part of Stryker's crew, and here the doctor says like he had good things to say about him and he didn't know that, so this reinvigorates Ted, which I don't know if this is a lie or not or truth. It doesn't matter, I guess. But yeah, so yeah, suddenly Ted doesn't have PTSD anymore, so he takes over the plane again. Cut back to the airport. Kramer and McCloskey think Ted can't land the plane in this weather, so they go up to the tower to like help and observe. The plane is like preparing for a landing, so is the airport, so they got all the trucks out there, even cement trucks, whatever, all the trucks you can get.
I there was a garbage truck that drove by once.
Well, that's that one had to drop off all the lights. So I think he says something like, "We need all the lights on the runway that we can get." And it's just to cut to a dump truck dumping lights onto the ground.
Yeah, it's just like pouring light bulbs out, or something,
or just lamps or whatever.
Yeah.
Elaine says she's proud of Stryker. Here's where we get the first of a doctor coming in and says, "Good luck. We're all counting on you." So Kramer starts giving instruction to while Over's wife molests him. Here's where we get McCloskey says, "Pick the wrong week to quit sniffing glue." This is after he says, "Pick the wrong week to quit methamphetamines," or amphetamines, maybe he just says.
Yeah, I think he said amphetamines. Yeah.
But yeah, but the glue sends him over the edge. This he huffs it and he like falls backwards, and and at some point he's like upside down and hanging from the ceiling, and then just jumps through the tower window. Yeah, this is also where I noticed that Jonathan Banks is one of the air traffic controllers. Kramer says like Ted's coming in too fast and the plane's wiggling all over the place. He lands the plane and like tells him like pull the brake. He pulls the brake and then the whole handle breaks off. Here's where we get the second. The doctor just calmly walks in. It's "Good luck. We're all counting on you." Ted's sweating like crazy, like even more than before. They're just like pouring a bucket of water on him essentially. The landing gear snaps. The plane skids to a stop. And there's kind of Joy's like, "Okay, the plane didn't blow up. Oh, good." And then the doctor comes in and says, "Good luck. We're all counting on you." So
yeah.
Last time, just putting a button on it. Kramer thanks Ted for the terrible landing, but it worked. So he's like, I'll buy you a beer. And then he just like keeps talking. Even he doesn't know that nobody's listening. It's like about his childhood. And he's like, but like, no. Then we have Elaine and Ted kiss as the camera spins around them. Then we have the autopilot blows up again and salutes Ted and takes off in the airplane while a woman blow up doll next to him. The plane takes
landing gear, no landing gear.
No landing gear.
Sparks all over the place and the plane just flies off into the sunset.
And probably no fuel left in it. Credits. So we cut to credits. We have this is mostly done in like comedies where they'll have like scenes from the movie and then kind of freeze frame and then have like credits of the person. And then we also, which I wasn't expecting it to be here, because I always associate the first post-credit scene to be Ferris Bueller's Day Off. But there is a post-credit scene in this movie where it cuts to the guy in the cab still waiting for Stryker, and he goes, "I will give him another 20 minutes, but that's it." And he's not even in L.A. So
Yep, the guy's still sitting in that cab. I think it's the third time they come back to him.
yeah. So yeah, that's Airplane. Yeah, definitely one of my favorite comedies. It's definitely, I'm not sure kid friendly, but it's it's definitely like it's more absurdist and nearly like PG-13, I guess.
Yeah, I think it was rated R for sure.
Oh, was it rated R? Okay.
I'm pretty sure it was.
Well, I know it has like I know it has the nudity moment, but I wasn't sure if it really had any language. So, I feel like back then you could get away with like one bit of nudity, but
I don't know. Let me check.
there's also a weird thing like because it's called Airplane, it has exclamation point, and there is it's PG.
Oh, it's rated PG, huh? Weird. I would assume R for sure.
Um, there's a weird thing like some kind of I guess generally in Hollywood you don't put like exclamation points in titles because it's like it's deemed as being bad luck. So
Oh, okay.
so I guess they try to they did it here, and I remember Abrams when he did Mafia, they did it there too. It was just called Mafia with an exclamation point. But that movie sucks, so it's alright. And I think it's
So
like
that it worked, yeah.
yeah. I think that's like Lloyd Bridges' last movie too. It's just weird. He gets killed by a kid with like a bug sprayer with an orange in his mouth.
Oh, weird.
I don't know. A lot of this cast showed up in like the movies, not like Scary Movie, the good one, and then Not Another Teen Movie, which actually is like kind of an underrated gem. It was like all the other ones, like Epic Movie or Not Another, or no, Epic Movie, and then there's like a 300 one, but I can't remember what it's called.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're
Or
talking
like
about.
Meet the Spartans or something like that.
Yeah.
There's a ton of those. They just put them at like Date Movie, like ton of them. They're all terrible. And like so, yeah, some of these people got like in some of those. Like I know Leslie Nielsen was in a bunch of them. Like unfortunately,
Yeah.
like towards the end of his life, it's like, well, people like me in these movies. I'll do this, and it was like terrible. And I can't remember the last time I've seen a spoof movie. They seem to like go in and out of like style, or just people don't do them well. Because I feel like those movies like pretty much just killed it. Because like, oh, we hit a formula, and then like it's like, no, you're missing the point. It's not just gags. It's no. Like I don't even know. Yeah, I wouldn't even know how to like write a formula to like necessarily what makes Airplane great. It just works. You just got to get.
Yeah, I
talented.
think it's the kind of how would you say it? It's just the weirdness of it all.
Yeah.
And how it's so I don't it's hard to articulate it. I mean, there's a reason I like it, but it's just so completely absurd.
Well, I mean, this is where concerns like Naked Gun and this movie is that it's all wrapped around a deadly serious drama, and then just how they frame it makes the jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like nobody's laughing at the jokes in the movie. Like everyone just takes everything deadly seriously, and like, yeah, because like, yeah, I don't think in the movie Airplane anybody laughs.
No, it's all like non sequiturs. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and Hot Shots is kind of like that too. Yeah, maybe.
Now, the Hot Shots movies are pretty good, especially the first one.
Yeah, I don't know. I really keep coming back to the second one. I think that might be of unheralded in its form. I always like the part in it where he's like going around killing people, and they kind of cut to like the Terminator vision, or no, they just have a score racking up of like RoboCop and like Rambo and like all the people that like killed other people in movies, and then, like he gets to the score gets high enough where he's like the most, it says like declares like the most violent movie ever because he has the most kill count. um then there's like it's also a great like a great cast. Like that's like, oh, what's that guy, Ryan Stiles is in it as like one of those Navy SEALs guy. There's a great little joke where they're they got like the face paint, and he hands it to the black guy who just like stares at it for a moment, and like they're like, oh, okay, never mind. The dueling voiceovers between Charlie Sheen and Martin Sheen.
Oh yeah, forgot about that one.
Whereas I remember like Hot Shots, like I haven't seen that in a while. I've went out of my way to see Hot Shots Part 2 like more recently than the first one, because I remember the first one just being like, oh, this is just Top Gun, but funnier, just a spoof movie Top Gun. And then Part 2 was just more like we're ripping off Rambo. Also like the one in the beginning of Hot Shots 2 where like he's like, they have that thing where like he's like prepping his hands for the fight, and then ends up just being like an ice cream bar and like putting sprinkles on and like
Oh yeah.
And then he kicks a guy so hard in the nuts, like his nuts coming out of his mouth. It's just Number 2 has a lot of things going for it. But yeah, Not Another Teen Movie was like, the pretty underrated. It also has like a crazy cast.
Yeah.
Because I know mostly it's just like, oh, it has Chris Evans in it before he was like, superhero. But it also has like what else has that in it? Oh, what's her name? She's like this like seriously like committed drama actor, and she's like in that movie. It's really funny.
All that one.
I don't know. Have you ever never seen Not Another Teen Movie?
No, I haven't seen that
it's
one.
like, okay. I don't want to say it's great and then you watch it and it's stupid, but I don't know. It's like you kind of have to go in with. It's also great because they have Randy Quaid as like the pathetic father who can't get his shit together. Yeah. You got the scary movies, which really only the first one's the good one. I remember sort of liking 3 and 4, or maybe just 3. One of them's terrible. One of them has Shaq in it, and they're doing Saw spoofs. That's the one that's terrible.
Oh, okay. I think I've intermittently seen parts of those.
Because those ones like have Charlie Sheen in it too.
What's the one that has the spoof of Michael Jackson?
Oh, I can't remember.
Where he's like a clown, the molesting clown thing.
I can't remember that. That probably happened. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm trying to think of like the best recent spoof movie, but nothing comes to mind. I mean, there just hasn't been good ones. I remember there's been that.
Can't think of any recent ones that are really good. But I'm not much of a comedy guy either, so.
Yeah. They're calling Psycho Gorman a spoof movie? I guess so.
Which one?
Psycho Gorman.
Is that the one that the guy from Red Letter Media was in?
I'm not sure if he was in that. It's basically like the alien that wants to take over Earth, and then like he's basically now bound to like what this like 10-year-old girl has to say. And then and their friend gets turned into a walking brain, and just nobody like comments on it. I guess that could be one, yeah. That's a great weird ass movie.
Yeah.
I guess I haven't seen. There's that Weird Al biopic movie that's intentionally not actually a biopic, which I hear is good. I need to see it. Or Daniel Radcliffe is Weird Al.
Oh, okay.
It's like a Roku movie, so I don't even know where to get it, but I think it's available everywhere now. Um, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I can't recall that. Yeah, any movies like this done anymore?
no, I can't. Was it the Happy Town Murders? Where they have like it's kind of a serious detective movie with like puppets. Um, and they're getting murdered and stuff like that. I mean, it's not really. I guess it's I guess that's more of a spoof movie, but it's more just. Um, I guess so. I don't know. If you want to see if you want to see puppets like kind of like Muppets kind of puppets having sex and blowing each other's brains out, that's the movie for you. So.
What was that one about the? What was that odd one we watched? A Comrade Detective.
Yeah, yeah, that was
That was,
fantastic.
yeah, that was kind of in that vein.
Yeah, I wish. Oh man, I wish they got a second season of that. That was amazing. If you don't know what Comrade
That was
Detective,
like a spoof of like
like
TV shows
Romanian,
from Europe
yeah,
from
because like was presented, what they actually did is they just filmed a straightforward like detective show in Romania, and
yeah,
then what they did afterwards, like with Romanian actors, it's filmed in I don't know what they speak in Romania.
Romanian.
Romanian? Is it Romanian?
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
sure. And then so yeah, they just do that all straightforward, and then it's packaged afterward as like a long lost show from the Soviet era, and they've dubbed on top of it, like intentionally like ridiculous like yeah yeah, where it's not even fitting in their mouth sometimes, and then like but then like like
Yeah,
they're
it's dubbed like, 70s kung fu movies
yeah
almost.
yeah. I believe you can actually just watch it in the Romanian. I think they do have like a Romanian version where you just watch it straightforward. Because I think obviously, well, maybe not obviously, but yeah, the dub is changing things about the movie. But then there's the ridiculous stuff where it's like, they reveal one of the big reveals is that somebody had smuggled Monopoly into Romania, and that's like a big no-no. It's
That'll destroy communism.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
I
that was
watched all that. I remember that show. It's like
oh, it was
that's
so well done because they just like their budget went so far because they just gave them like a sixth of the budget they would give them for like a normal TV show, and they just ran away with it. It was like well acted, well
yeah, people work their ass off to
yeah,
make it. You could
great
tell.
music. It's it's fantastic. It's not something I don't. I don't know. There's a lot of how people's attention spans are nowadays. It's not something you can watch while doing something else. You have
No.
to sit there and pay attention to it.
Yeah, you can't build a model and watch that. You're gonna eventually screw up the model because you're like, what?
Yeah, because somebody's gonna say something stupid and it won't make sense because you're not watching the show.
Yeah, even when they say stuff that it makes sense if you're watching it, it's like, what's a non sequitur? What are they saying? But yeah, that was a good one. I thought that did get a second season.
Oh, if it did, I haven't seen it. I would definitely.
Well, yeah, I thought it did, but I missed it. It's like, but maybe it didn't.
Because yeah, I have no. Yeah, Amazon shows seem to just like come and disappear, or there's some that have 7 seasons I never see. Apparently, that Fleabag show is amazing. I've never seen it. So,
Yeah.
well, we're sending a probe to space containing the supercut of the imperfect collection that is the Verhoeven Effect. Nathan, what scene from Airplane are we sending into space?
That's gonna be a tough one for this. There's so many scenes in
Are
this
we just
movie.
gonna send the
Perfect.
hysterical lady scene to space?
Yeah, that's gonna have to be. It does explain the movie.
No, it's like our touchstone to the movie almost. Of like,
Yeah.
as
Oh,
a
it's one of
great
the
scene
10
in
greatest scenes in cinema history.
yeah, so you got Chuck into space.
Yeah.
We're on Letterbox, username VHE, so 1 out of 5 stars. What do we give Airplane?
I have to give this one a 5.
Yeah.
It's not hard. Not hard to like this movie.
Well, Well, you can find us at verhoeveneffect.com, where you can listen to this podcast. There we have listener support. You can support us at 9.90, $4.99, or $9.99. Cancel anytime. Also, you can find our podcast whatever platform of your choice, and whatever you listen on, whatever rating they have. Remember, they only listen to the highest rating, and you control the algorithm. The algorithm doesn't control you. You can find us at Twitter at Verhoeven Effect. You can find us at Blue Sky Social at Verhoeven Effect. You can find us at Facebook at Verhoeven Effect. And you can find us on YouTube, where you can watch this, and you can find us on YouTube at American Grief Factory. You can watch both this and that show live and unedited. So this week for the Verhoeven Effect podcast, I'm Conlon.
And I'm Nathan.
Goodbye, America.